Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of hockey, specifically Canada. Oh, the world of sports, specifically in hockey, specifically in Canada. I'm your host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at Profit Mick. Now that we're still going on Twitter, it's exciting. And if you're on Twitter, because it didn't get exploded, you could also find my co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. I keep waiting for Elon Musk to just explode Twitter, and then we can come up with our own thing, and maybe we'll call it Tweeter or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard lots of people are just like, they're like, well, if you don't pay the subscription, you get put to a different part of Twitter. Everyone's like, well, just stay over here. That sounds fine. Like,
Twitter's always been the hellscape of social media. Like, Facebook is lovey, Instagram's for show. Twitter is where you go to piss on other people. Like, you got some anger to get out, you send some mean tweets, you get in replies. Like, that's what Twitter is.
oh yeah, diving through just replies of tweets, you get to some dark spots. But like, there's also some strokes of genius in there, right? Like, I remember there was something political, right? And somebody came on and they said, you know what I'm more concerned about? Did you know that there's 48 million kangaroos in Australia? The population of Peru is only 6 million people. That means if all the kangaroos got together and invaded Peru, each person in Peru would have to fight 16 kangaroos. And I'm like, that is why the internet exists, for that comment. Genius.
I agree. So many underrated tweets floating around on Twitter. Maybe we should start a new segment. Maybe we'll read our 2 favorite or 3 favorite tweets from the past week, and that would encourage my own personal usage, because unless I have something stupid to say, I'm off Twitter.
Oh, I could bring my joke book back upstairs, because I used to write down jokes and stuff like that, and then I stopped because I had a bunch of good jokes last night. I won't get into it here, but like, I can start that again, write down tweets. Okay, all right. Tweets of the week. Yeah, that's funny. I like that segment.
And we will single-handedly bring Twitter back to worldly relevance. Kind of a la Jimmy... Was it Jimmy Fallon that did mean tweets? I think it was Jimmy Fallon. A la mean tweets. We'll just do funny tweets.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
People helping people, powerful stuff.
So that's it. So we did take a little bit of a break. Last week there was no show. Before that, I think we did an abridged show. So we're taking probably a full hour today. We're going to go through it. We're going to dive through some headlines, catch up on what hockey's looked like the last little while. We're into December, so we're 2 months into the season. Things are going to... This is kind of the change. I know we talked a couple weeks ago about panic button. It's like starting to maybe get pressed as we kind of go forward here. So it's a good time in the hockey calendar. We've got some fantasy advice, some gambling advice. We're not going to do tweets this week, but maybe we'll look at boobs.
We might have to. It's very, there's a fancy saying, but it's very on point for you transitioning to, it is panic time, because past the quarter mark of the season, college football season's coming to an end. That means NFL's slowly trickling to a conclusion. We're going to have nothing but hockey here on the horizon. And if you put it off all until January, maybe you could pull a 2019 St. Louis Blues and just win like 40 or 42 games and then go on to win the Stanley Cup. But that's not the case for most teams. So, like, now is the time for action.
I can't back it up with statistics, but there is precedent before. We've seen the Pittsburgh Penguins from 2000... that last run that they had there, I'm pretty sure they were like dead to rights before they went on to win the Cup. The Tampa Bay Lightning were reeling before the COVID year when they won it. The St. Louis Blues. So in the last like 50% of the champions have actually kind of sucked up to this point of the season. So I think this is where things start to change, and you can change the narrative of your whole season, right? You're reeling, you had a great offseason, you've sucked. You start patching together some wins, though, sky's the limit.
You can't be at the elite level season long. You just can't do it. Yeah. It's just, for the most part, you're operating outside normal ranges. You just can't do it. And I call it, it's not unique to hockey. I have it in most sports. There's always a championship slump. Mm-hmm. You can kind of nail it down to, like, even if we look at the Phillies. I know that that's not a great example this year, but Braves before them how they slumped midsummer and they started picking up at the end. We're kind of going to see the same thing in hockey right now, where teams either they're going to start trending upwards, or teams that have been operating efficiently are going to start trending downwards before they pick up. There's a championship slump in just about every year in every sport. So it's anybody's guess what happens after this.
Last year, I believe the Boston Celtics were like a bottom 5 team in December, the start of December, and they were in the NBA Finals, right? So, like Grant said, it's a long season. So I did say to Grant before we started, normally when we get into headlines, have they changed NHL.com, or is it just my screen is bigger? One thing before I move away from the homepage, though, is Jets quarterback Mike White joins an NHL fantasy podcast. So I've never listened to the NHL fantasy podcast, but I'm kind of curious what's going on there.
I'm just wondering why you're bringing in Mike White. The guy has played one game this NHL or the NFL season.
He's 2-5. He's got an 8 TD 8 interception career ratio, but he is our savior. So,
cool. And how does he have the wherewithal to talk about NHL fantasy? Doesn't he have a game this week? Who are the Jets playing? The Jets got to be playing somebody.
As a backup quarterback, I imagine you have a lot of free time. So obviously he's really into fantasy. He likes the NHL. So
he's the starter now, Mick. They benched Zach Wilson. It's Mike White. He runs New Jersey. I guess where they play is New Jersey. He runs New York. Mike White is banging chicks like that Johnny Unitas back in the 70s. It's just happening. I'm sorry.
All right. I told Grant I had a bit of a, announcement, thought. I put some thought into the podcast. If me personally, the way I consume content, when I see little timestamps on podcasts, I'll just listen until my favorite team is brought up. That's me. So 32 Thoughts comes out. I look for basically when they talk about the Leafs, I'll listen to their segment, and then I kind of just get rid of it. So that's me, how I consume. Historically, we've done headlines bottom up. We talk about the crap team, and we wait a little bit. We make people kind of wait through it. What if we swapped it? What if we started working our way down? So we start with the better teams, which sometimes are boring, like the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's something to talk about with them, but typically it's not as interesting. Right? And it can just be versus the bottom team. So, are we doing ourselves a disservice by not working down the ladder every week?
I don't know. I don't consume a lot of podcasts. Okay. So, but thinking about this just right off the cuff, if I hear the best team first, why the fuck would I stick around to hear about how shitty the Vancouver Canucks are?
Okay, and that's fair too. Okay, I mean that's fair. It's like SportsCenter. What's on the top of SportsCenter? It's like the best game, and then they do the trickle down, and Jacksonville gets Jacksonville won today, and they move on, right? So
okay, well no, that's fair. Not something I thought of. You want to be a drug dealer of the podcast is what you're getting at, is that you want to just kind of suck people in, and then once they're there, it's like, guess what? You're already here.
I don't care about the metrics of how much they listen to. I just want people to listen, right? So if they're tuning in and just listening to, say, Leafs, Oilers, fucking off, I'm kind of okay with that. Skip around, right? You don't have to listen to a full show. You shouldn't watch anything. Movies, television shows, just watch your favorite parts, right? I do that with movies all the time. I'll just go and watch my favorite parts of a Star Wars movie and then move on. And tomorrow walking in, she's like, why are you watching this whole Star Wars movie? I was like, oh no, I'm just watching this 20 minutes and I'm going to go do something else. She's like, what kind of a psychopath are you? That's okay. We can all be psychopaths.
You're hiding under the cover of Star Wars, but I know that you have a screen that has boobs burnt into it. So, but one of those old plasma screens where it's just you've watched the same tit scene.
The amount of media that I consume in short 3 to 5 minute stints blow your mind.
Not the only thing getting blown, I'm sure.
Woo. You know what? Speaking of blowing, let's do our tradition, and we're going to go to the bottom of the standings, because right now, if you listen really hard, you can hear the hockey media in general collectively pulling the Ottawa Senators dick out of their mouth that they've been blowing all off season, because guess what, guys? The wheels have fallen off. The Ottawa Senators are 28th, bottom of the standings in terms of Canadian teams. The experiment's over. Going and getting your Claude Giroux, your cute little trades for your Debricants, it didn't work. I knew it. I told everyone. Everyone said, "Oh no, they're going to be great. Look at these. Look at Claude Giroux. He sucked in Philadelphia for 5 years. I'm sure he got swept in the playoffs." Oh. So collectively, if you listen quietly, you can hear the.
It sounds like the Senators have a nice meaty wang. If I'm judging by the sound alone, I don't even have anything to add. I'm going to let you have this one. We can move on. I can't top that.
All right, cool. I came up with that bit a couple days ago, so that's all right. And we'll scroll up to 25th overall. We got another. Well, I feel like no one was blowing the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe in our first show, I said there's potential. I think I maybe got hyped for like 20 minutes, and then it's just kind of fallen off. What's going on with the Vancouver Canucks this week?
Yeah, I haven't even been paying attention, and I'm glad to not be paying attention, so I got nothing to say.
Okay, cool. This is great. I'm glad we're going bottom up. Oh my gosh, Calgary, how are you still in the bottom? How do you still suck? There's no way the Calgary, how are they 10-10-3?
I don't know. Maybe there's something fucky going on in the Pacific Division, because Oilers are kind of in the same boat. Like, they're not exceptional.
Yeah.
Granted, they're ahead of the Flames, but maybe it's the winter. Maybe people in Calgary and Alberta are just not into hockey. I don't have an explanation for it. When you look at the metrics, they should be better. When you look at the roster composition, they should be better. But here they are withering away at 500. The only thing I can think of, and I haven't watched enough Flames hockey to actually comment on this, the new players just aren't a good fit for Daryl Sutter's system. That's the only thing I can think of.
We've seen in the past, Daryl Sutter is a very abrasive personality. He can coach, right? If you get the right guys, he can get them pointed in the right direction, get everyone working together. But he also has butted heads with people for years, right? Like, he doesn't kind of let them play their own way, right? So that potentially is it. Now, looking at the bottom three teams at least, our little talk of championship slump, I don't think the Flames are Stanley Cup contenders at this point, but I don't know if the playoffs are out of the question. So as a Flames fan, if I'm sitting here at this point, start of December of this year, get on board. Start watching some Flames, because I think they could surprise you, and I do think they have the dogs. They have the horses that they potentially could make a push here. So keep your eye on the Flames. I think the worst is probably behind them, and they start trending upwards. That'd be my guess.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. A big part of me wants to see them suffer a little bit, because we could go to Flames games for basically $15 and get pocket dogs.
My heart says I want to go watch them play the Florida Panthers at some point in February and spend like $25 for lower bowl seats. Like, that's what I want. My head, on the other hand, says like, I kind of feel like this is a late season team, and I think they'll start trending in the right direction. So they just haven't quite figured it out just yet. So
pocket dogs, Mick. You could choose all the sauces you want: ranch, ketchup, mustard.
There's only 20 guys. Only 20 guys in the arena at that point. It's yours. You can run this town.
Oh man, that's the dream. That's the dream come true. Pocket dogs in February cost $15 to get in.
Sweet. All right, so the Flames. Let's see. We got the Capitals at 21. Wild at 20. There's just some good teams that are like playing bad hockey. We get up to 19th. We became a teenager. We're legal for it by a year. The Montreal Canadiens. There we go. Anything going on with Montreal in the last couple weeks?
No, same old song. They keep exceeding early season expectations. I don't know if this team. You have to think that they're still in the rebuilding phase. Like, I don't think that they're going to try and expedite that by going out and getting a goalie, even though they desperately need one.
Yeah.
High scoring goals continue to be on theme. I think there was a low scoring one last night, but goaltending being what it is, offense being what it is, goals come pretty naturally in Montreal right now.
I know you don't remember, because I don't have the foggiest sniff. Remember we did our tier show? Where did Montreal end up landing on that show? Do you recall?
Yep. So they were one of the second from the bottom, the rebuilding. I think because like
Okay.
it wasn't draft lottery, it was building for the future.
Or like player development or something, because
Yeah.
they're doing an excellent job with their Caulfields, their Doc, their Suzuki, of getting these guys experience and just kind of going from there, right? And now the building blocks, building the team around that kind of core is going to be and kind of determining are these the pieces that go forward. Thus far, yeah, not terrible. They're pretty good.
They are competitive, and that is probably more than what most people thought they would be. I know that's more than what most people thought they would be at the start of the season. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Put on a sparkly dress and ruin somebody's night towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best the Montreal Canadiens can hope for this year.
There you go.
And like I said, unless they're making a play for a goalie, or unless miraculously Carey Price, the future Mr. White, comes back and carries them to the postseason.
Yeah, this would be a deep dive into like a cap friendly. I kind of feel like this team does have some very, very, very ugly contracts kicking around. So it'll be a bit of a process. You gotta have to like let them like mature and like expire before you can kind of do your next thing, right? So I think that might be Montreal for a little bit. All right, let's see. Florida Panthers at 18th. What is going on? But the Edmonton Oilers are at least one spot better. They're 17th. They're not even legal, the Edmonton Oilers right now. And is that all the Canadian teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we have two more. That's good. How are the Edmonton Oilers playing the last couple weeks?
Edmonton just can't, for the life of me, I know what it is. I know that it's Connor McDavid getting crappy line matchups when they're on the road, but they can't figure things out on the road, and that might be a limiting factor. But the thing that I just keep going back to with this team, Connor McDavid's doing Connor McDavid things. They're getting like more well-rounded scoring than we've seen years past. Their top six looks solid, but I keep always going back to Stuart Skinner being the starting goalie. Every time I'm like, why did we spend $5 million on Jack Campbell? Like, are we now just like tugging Jack Campbell off for the next 5 years at $25 million now that Stuart Skinner has, expedited his development and moved into the starter's role? What does that make Jack Campbell?
The big story I saw this week with the waiving of Cal Pettersson by the LA Kings, who's just had an abysmal season. He's on a 3-year, $15 million deal. Would it make sense for the Oilers to trade for Cal Pettersson, knowing there's less term? That's where we're at in the Oilers goalie situation. How do you go from the road warrior Mike Smith, who won over an entire fan base, to this?
That's the $1 million question. In fact, that's the $5 million question. And it doesn't really matter. The truth is, I hate thought terminating cliches. Like, it is what it is. But that's sums it up. Like, we have Jack Campbell. He's here in net. We're paying him $5 million. He's not here in net. He's here on the bench. We're paying him $5 million. If he's not going to get his shit together, and I think 20 games into the season, 22 games into the season, like 10 of which Jack Campbell played, isn't going to give you an accurate representation of what this guy's actually capable of. And if you were to move him, you would definitely be selling low right now. But it is just this curious, like, goaltenders are so fragile, so delicate, and we talk about players being a function of the system. It's so much more amplified as a goaltender because, like, if you don't succeed, the whole team suffers because of it. And, like, you could get by with, like, a Zach Hyman who underperforms for a year, or Zach Cassian who underperforms for a couple years and still win games. But you can't do it with the goalie. Like, you can't hide behind a shitty goalie. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I don't think that they're going to, like, abandon ship just yet, but it's looking really bad, right? Like 20 games into his Oilers tenure.
Yeah, not good. I guess my only counter argument is, like, what goalie was coming in and making this situation look better, right? Are the Oilers just kind of built to be a high scoring, but also being, like, scored against, you know what I mean? Like, high goals against, but high goal for, and that's just kind of how they're built. Like, they're not meant to not letting goals. I think they're kind of built to be like a running gun, and that's kind of the risk risk reward system that they play in. So any goalie there is just going to look crappy. With that being said, why do you spend $5 million of your cap on a Jack Campbell if that's what you know is coming? Why not just go for the simple option, right? Like, why not go find the cheapest guy on the market because he's just cannon fodder, right? And run through them.
Yeah. And I think, like, the optics of not getting a goalie this past offseason probably would have been much worse than getting Jack Campbell for what they paid for him. Because if you went into the season, even if you went into the season and Stuart Skinner performed the way that he has, and that is above average, a competent starting goaltender, people would still be shitting all over the Oilers, being like, the goaltending's an issue. Well, guess what? Goaltending is an issue, irrespective of who they signed and how much they've signed him for. So it's just like the optics of having a starter in Jack Campbell, where they could say, "Yeah, we got him. We're going to give him time to." Yeah. Whereas, like, you could just ride it out with Stuart Skinner now. Like, he's the starter. This is his crease to lose, and unless he shits himself, this is going to be Stuart Skinner. I would see for the foreseeable future in the Oilers' crease.
And I've seen it thrown around too that the cap is going up in the next year or two. So if it goes up by $5 million, Jack Campbell becomes a wash. And then it, like, you know what I mean? So sorry to play devil's advocate a little bit and like make you feel maybe slightly better about your life, but
I got nothing going for me, Nick.
Yeah.
I know that I have nothing going for me, and I'm not trying to hide behind anything. Not like the Oilers, who are hiding behind the Jack Campbell signing again. But we can't get trapped in this cycle, so...
In the last 2 weeks, was there a game where Jack Campbell was the backup goalie and a puck got shot on the net and hit him? So he got hurt sitting on the bench? I saw that tweet. Somebody tweeted that out, and I was like, all right, well, now things are just... I feel bad for Soup. Poor guy.
Okay, so this is going to be a nice tie-in to the start of the show, because I was thinking, I don't think I got it out, but I was trying to think of how to word it, about how Jack Campbell's save percentage on the bench is so much better than his save percentage on the ice. But, like, I just couldn't figure out how to get it, and then eventually lost momentum.
All right. Oh, poor. Let's see who's around there. We got Nashville, Rangers. There's a team that's going to have like a stellar 3/4 of a season. It's coming, guys. Rangers, let's go. The Avalanche at 13th. Tampa Bay at 11th. Top 10 means nothing. But the top 10 does include the Winnipeg Jets, who continue to play above average hockey. Connor Hellebuck is still in games. They've got the forwards up front. Defensively, they're dog shit. But I guess it doesn't matter if you play a defensive style of hockey, right? Like tailor your game plan around your shittiest players. Like, is that what the Winnipeg Jets are doing?
We'll cater our system to who plays the worst, and we'll let the other guys just have fun with it. Yeah. That's what it looks like, at least on paper. This team analytically remains one of the worst in the league. They continue to get outplayed, and they've just exhausted their puck luck. Their PDO, combination of shooting and save percentage, is above average. It's elite, but like I said, they're paying for this year's wins with last year's checks, because last year's metrics, they weren't as bad as their record implied, and this year they're not as good as their record implies. So the universe has a funny way of balancing itself out. It's just Connor Hellebuck, and so last night's a good example. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? Anyways, I think it was last night. Connor Hellebuck not starting. David Rich was in net. Columbus torched him. So Connor Hellebuck, once again, and this is like a very small... It's analogous to the season as a whole, and that is Connor Hellebuck's going to carry this team.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I mean, I've kind of set it up to this point. Like, sample sizes are always... people don't get it, right? Like, I've thought we've advanced as kind of sports fans, as society, understanding sample sizes, but people still freak out after 5 games, after 10 games, after 1 game. We're now 20 games in. We have a pretty good understanding, and things will become more clear the more and more data we get. But people are still just like oblivious to these things, right? So,
yeah.
1 game sample size. Make your whole conclusion based on last night's games. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup? Ottawa Senators in Game 7 overtime, baby.
You heard it here first. You heard it here the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in the top 10. That's pretty exciting. We got the Los Angeles Kings, which are phenomenal. The Islanders up here. Oh my gosh. Carolina Hurricanes. Okay, all right. I like them. Dallas Stars. Yeah, they're a good squad. Seattle, are they having a Vegas Knights season? Wait, are they having a Vegas Knights season where I'm going to doubt them all year and bet against them, but then they're actually going to be really good?
Maybe, unless you throw it out into the universe like that, and they're like, no, Mick. For some reason, the universe always caters the world around you. So you say it, say no more. The Seattle Kraken are going to go on a losing skid.
So the Russell Wilson trade somehow also helped the Seattle Kraken. Like, it is the worst trade in the history of the world. Somehow they took all the bad juju, and now the Colorado Avalanche are going to suck for a while. So cool.
Wow.
Huh.
That is a nice full circle sports moment you brought to the world. Thank you for that.
Like, it's gonna go. Like, it destroyed everything. The Rockies, they might be moving soon. Like, they're gonna have to sell the franchise, go somewhere else.
That would be a shame because I've been to a few baseball stadiums. I would say Coors Field is probably one of the best. I would say it's my favorite one I've ever been to. They have what's called Jack Daniel's Porch. So, like, you can naturally, it's got to be 4 levels up, and it's just a little porch. You get drunk, you play cornhole, ladies wear low-cut tops. It's a great time.
Thanks a lot, Russell Wilson.
Don't Russell, don't you dare take this from us.
Took everything from us. There was some story that his birthday was last week, and Ciara threw him a birthday party, and only half the Broncos showed up.
Oh, that's half more than I thought they would. So
yeah.
It was just the offensive linemen who think, out of pure duty, they're like, I guess you have to protect them off the field too.
Yeah, we got to do something, right? So the only other explanation is maybe Nathaniel Hackett just gave the team bad direction. So I don't know. All right, a Seattle Kraken segment.
Again, so they're the exact same as the Jets. I would put them in the exact same boat as the Jets, where last year they weren't as bad as their record implied.
Okay.
You get a couple of skill players, you grow together as a team. I think they're just living up to last season's disappointment or exceeding last year's disappointment. So.
Okay, there you go. Seattle, it ain't that hard. Oh, the Vegas Knights right there. Look at that, at 4th. And that means at 3rd overall, kicking butt, taking names, writing checks. Toronto Maple Leafs. They did it, guys. Remember when Dubas was getting fired and Keefe was getting fired and they were going to trade Morgan Riley and Mitch Marner? How'd that work out for you?
Well, I still believe that Kyle Dubas has a very short leash in Toronto. I wasn't so much on the other parts of that, but I do think that Kyle Dubas was... he continues to just play with fire. And like we've seen time and time again, he's right and I'm wrong because the Maple Leafs are winning games, but... We'll see how long and sustainable it will be with their goaltenders playing the way that they are. Because
I think much like the Oilers, I don't think it matters. Like their play, they're going to be kind of they're going for just solid fundamentals outside of the net, right? Sound defensively, offensively, they're going to have the puck in the offensive zone a lot, create lots of chances, and go. Like if their goalie loses them a game or two. I don't think they need their goalies to get them wins, right? I think that's how they're built. So as long as you have a dog in the race that's going to kind of limit the games that they give up, I think that's kind of how they're built, and they're just going to have to roll with that, right? So,
well, that's fair. I think that's a fair analysis. We've seen it work for them in the regular season, and maybe it's just a matter of time before it all pays off in the postseason. But if not. Okay, so how many playoff failures will it take for Kyle Dubas to lose his job? Because we're 5-6 years into his tenure.
Yeah, and like I do agree with you. I think he is a very skilled, talented general manager. He's put together like a very nice group of players. If they lose next year, I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away. And I will say, like, I think he's done an excellent job. It's nothing is his fault. Lots of it is like a poor matchup, a missed game here the last couple years. They're not his failures, but big things will change, right? Like Keith will get fired this offseason. Dubas may not get a contract extension. They'll bring someone else in to kind of help motivate this team. So this year, like if they're not out of the first round, I think big changes are coming because it's insane to run it back. Like this is their last chance and go from there. But it's not like it's anyone's specific fault. It's just you need to change things, right? So.
So, do you remember when? Oh my God, why is his name escaping me? The old Weasley guy from Oilers. Oh my God, Peter Chiarelli.
Okay.
So you remember when Peter Chiarelli left town? Like the day before, he's like, "I'm gonna sign Mikko Koskinen to a 3-year contract." What is going to be Kyle Dubas's fuck you moment to the Toronto Maple Leafs if he senses that he's on his way out?
Trading away. Probably there's probably some trade out there, right? If he does suspect that it's on the pulse, there'll be some like weird pre-draft or something trade. He's trading these 2 prospects for a pick or something like that. Oh, okay, all right. And those 2 prospects are going to go on to win like 12 Art Ross trophies or something, right? Like, so it'll be like a long burn, I think, kind of thing, and you'll just see like him like stroking his little like evil villain goatee that he has at that point.
And he goes and signs as GM of whatever team that those players ended up on. You know what? That would be a good fuck you moment.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping for the opposite. I hope that he convinces Brendan Shanahan to come back out of retirement and he signs Brendan Shanahan to a contract. That would be like the chef's kiss of fuck you moments.
The not Jamal Mayers. I forget. They have a bald coach. It's like dark skinned.
I think that is Jamal Mayers.
Is it Jamal Mayers? I thought Jamal Mayers was like in broadcasting.
I don't know. Let's look at the Leafs coaching staff.
Manny Malhotra? Is that who I'm thinking of? Because I was going to say we need a Shanahan, a Jason Spezza, and other guy.
He just convinces, hey guys, the on ice product isn't working. We need the best.
We need older guys. We need to go older. Remember how they cheered all those legends? Remember when Daryl Sittler was out there? That's what we need. We guys to cheer more. We need more of an atmosphere in Toronto. Other points with the Maple Leafs, they're pretty good. They're playing well. Mitch Marner is now tied the franchise record for point streak. So tonight, going up against Tampa, he has a chance to surpass that and and just stand on top all by himself. So he's going for the first place all-time point streak. He's been playing pretty good hockey since last December.
I have said this for years, and that is Mitch Marner is the best Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
And taking into consideration the full roster, I stand by that. I still think it's true. So I hope he gets it. And he's got a rocket of a mom too.
I love watching him play. I love watching Austin Matthews play. If they never win a championship and stay in Toronto for their careers, I will feel blessed for a sports fan for the next, 10 plus years ish. To be able to watch those guys just be on the ice, right? So I kind of feel blessed, independent of results. I'm just happy kind of watching these guys because I've seen some shitty hockey players over my life, and I would gladly take just 10 years to be like, I'm just happy. I'm just satisfied watching these guys. I like watching them play. I get along with them. It's good.
Wow. Shots fired at Mark Parrish and some other lesser-known Leafs who didn't live.
We want more Darcy Tuckers in our life.
Do you really? Like, come on.
Yeah, like you guys are okay with that. Sure. We need more Cody Franzen. Remember, he got like 70 points that one year, but then he didn't know how to pinch, and guys would just always go around him and score. Cody Franzen, pain in my ass.
Man, it's so funny to see, to retrospect is kind, because you can look back and you can see what exactly went wrong and exactly the right moment. And there's so many of those moments with Leafs, with the Toronto Maple Leafs, because there were some lean years in Leafs land where it was just like, I can't even remember how long the streak was of not making the playoffs. Poor Matt Sundin just doing it all by himself. But to look at all the players that they had brought in over those years and decades, you're like, man, that was a big mistake.
Yeah, and the guys they would trade away. Again, that is all trauma that I carry. If I could keep Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews in my life, this is great, right? I'm perfect, awesome. That wraps it up. I don't think I had any other points. Do you have any other points about anyone? Did we miss anything?
I was just going to say, I didn't even bring up Tuukka Rask and Andrew Raycroft.
Oh, it's ridiculous, right? Like, you could go through just top 10 worst moves versus, like, the best moves. We're the best moves.
We didn't trade away our players. It would just be all the best moves would be not trading away Austin Matthews, not trading away Mitch Marner.
Right. Like getting to draft Morgan Riley 5th overall, right? Like having Alex Galchenyuk go before Morgan Riley or something like that, right? Having William Nylander fall to you, having John Tavares come home, having Mitch Marner fall to you. Like, those are probably 5 of the best moves in the last 20 years.
I would say last like 60, 70 years.
Go back further, right? So it's Alexander McGillney is obviously number 1. We can't forget him in our hearts.
Oh, Eric Lindros too. We can't imagine Toronto Maple Leafs without Eric Lindros.
I just signed like this.
You know what, Eric? Why don't you just lick the paper? We'll test it for DNA after. Okay.
Okay. Well, that wraps up, I think, headlines. That kind of wraps us up. Again, 2-week hiatus. We just got all our takes out. We can get back into hockey. If I'm not doing a show with Grant, I don't really look at hockey on a Saturday, so yeah.
Well, you're missing out on shootout opportunities, but
that's true. That's fair.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but of the 40 bets I made last week that I won like 25, I should have more than $15 extra in my pocket at the end of last weekend. So I don't know what happened there.
God damn.
I chased everything. I lost $2 on that bet. I was like, I'll show you with a big France parlay. Let's go into my dirty fantasies. We're going to look at some FanDuel. Before we do that, though, my favorite segment on this show is looking at the NHL.com's daily fantasy hockey picks. We should keep track of these. Let's see, who do they have today? Because, again, someone gets paid. They pay people to write this. All right. So, players to watch for a goal. Jared McCann. All right. So, a little Kraken love versus the Florida Panthers. Players to watch for an assist. Erik Karlsson. Players to watch for a power play point. We want Mikhail Sergachev. Shots on goal is your man, Elias Pettersson. So, there's their picks. McCann, Karlsson, Sergachev, and Pettersson.
Did they mix that up? Because didn't they used to be like defenseman, goalie, forward? Mm-hmm. Now it's like, here, this person might get an assist. Like, what kind of a roll of the dice is this? This guy might do this.
Terrible, not great advice. Again, we should keep track of this. So maybe I'll write down these players and we can look them up. But we'll do that as we talk about our FanDuel lineup. So you're not just watching me write on a piece of paper. Unless it's ASMR. Why would you watch that?
I hate those videos, especially food ASMR. Why do I have to, or like mukbang? Why do I have to listen to you chew? Like, that doesn't appeal to a guy like Grant.
No. I'm glad. McCann, Karlsson, Grant. Who do you have in your lineup? I've got mine pulled up right now. So as you go through that, I can kind of scroll around. We can look at guys. Or do you want to talk about how we did last week or 2 weeks
ago? I can run through how we did a couple weeks ago. The Jets let me down. Remember we talked about this? We both were like, oh, yeah, go Jets. And then the Jets got shut out. And I paid for it with Mark Scheifele. And who else did I have? Maybe it was just Mark Scheifele. 4.8 points. He was on the low end. Oh, here's the other thing I fucking did wrong again. I didn't look at the goalie until after it locked. And Antti Ranta didn't play. He got 0 points. Pat Maroon, I knew it was a bit of a roll of the dice. 1.6. But top performers... Connor McDavid naturally, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins naturally, and Logan Couture were all 20-plus points. Finished 100, 100.2 points, but not good enough to win any money.
I didn't do well. Had Draisaitl, Krejci, actually not horrendous. Rasmus Sandin got me 11 points. Kirby Dach, 13 points. Andrei Vasilevsky, but I put up 2 goose eggs with Blake Wheeler and Jaden Schwartz. Not really sure what happened there. But, yeah, failure. I ended up 37th out of 51 on my little 50-person pool that I play. Maybe my worst entry of the season. Was not satisfied, so I'm going to redeem myself today. Yeah.
What was the point total?
I had 102.
Oh, you beat me, though. You beat me.
So not great advice. I kind of feel like I don't know. I knew that. I did change. Going into my lineup today, I was looking at the over in Arizona, Vancouver, and I had like I had a Coyote and 4 Canucks in my initial lineup before I changed it last night. I think I did better.
Anytime you take a Coyote out of your lineup, I would say you've done better. But
yeah.
You go ahead. You go first. What do you got?
All right. So I've got it up on the screen. I'm going to start with his salary's climbing. A couple weeks I told you guys. Elias Lindholm. He might be the focal point of the offense in Calgary. I know people love Kadri. They love Huberdeau. Elias Lindholm. Last year, he won them a playoff round, guys. He's good at $6,600, worth a shot. I've got a little bit of a Hurricane stack. So the LA Kings waived Kyle Pettersson this week. They are letting too many goals in. They're not playing defense. They're winning some games. Things got to change. I think the Hurricanes are going to rock you like a hurricane. And maybe I also have a lot of trauma from like my fantasy football season where I'll put up a bunch of points early on and then like a night game will happen and I need like, as long as Miles Sanders doesn't get 32 points, I'll win. And then Miles Sanders gets 32 points and I lose. So I hate I hate not having points at the end of the night. So last game of the night, Kings, Hurricanes. That was kind of my strategy. I'm rolling against how the universe is treating me this year. So Sebastian Aho and Andrew Sheshnikov at $7,400 and $8,400 respectively. I got Patrick Kane playing the Rangers, $6,000. Patrick Kane, come on guys, let's go Canes. Jakub Slavin on defense, $4,300. Rasmus Sandin, $3,900. He does a lot, and it's so cheap for a defenseman. Don't overpay for a defenseman, guys. Just get yourself a Rasmus Sandin. I've got Ilya Mikheyev. I couldn't get rid of all the Canucks at $5,200. Jesse Pujarvi at $3,900. And then I got Antti Rantna. I want the goalie for the Hurricanes. So if that does change, I will adjust that. But I also have $1,300 extra dollars. So I can make an upgrade somewhere. Essentially, I can upgrade one of my utility spots. So we're going to play around with that and see what we can do. Maybe get Grant's advice on this one. Or I'll just pick.
Well, I like your strategy. I got a few solid players. I was like, but we have cursed Jakub Slavin because I also have him at $4,300. I have $300 extra dollars to play with, so maybe I'll take him out. You enjoy him. It sounds like he's part of your lineup. Like you need him as a part of your stack. I'll take him out because otherwise it's just going to end terribly. But I had to splurge. I had to do it. Saturday night. Edmonton's at home to Montreal. I alluded to it earlier in the show where the Habs just aren't effective at limiting scoring. So I went McDavid Draisaitl up front and had to tinker. I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel the rest of the way through. Brian Russick, $5,200. Pittsburgh hosting St. Louis. He skates with Sidney Crosby. He gets power play time. Natural goal scorer. I'm hoping that guy pays off. Same with, I went with my own flame, and that is Andrew Mangiapane.
Yeah.
$4,500. Top 6 forward, power play time. There's a truculence to his game. Again, Caps aren't good at stopping goals, so I think that the Flames show up. I talked about Jakub Slavin, but I went with another Leafs defenseman. I went Timothy Liljegren. $4,200. He was a little bit. I keep going back to the Sandin well, and they keep getting burned. I hope it works out for you tonight, but I decided to pull cord, see if we'll get it back.
What's Lindgren's price?
42.
It's not bad. Yeah,
it's not bad, and I know he sees power play too. So
yeah, he does get your points, and he's playing like just with injuries, like top minutes, right? Like him and Giordano right now. Even Justin Hall are looking pretty good. So if you want some offense, cool.
And I did want some offense, which is why I put on Michael Bunting as one of my utility spots. $4,300 top line. I don't know. Feels like it's where he's robbed of his value at $4,300, but we'll see. Stuart Skinner is my goalie, $8,600, completing the Oilers stack. I've got one utility spot left. I have $3,100. Mackenzie Entwistle coming off a 2-point performance. I know Chicago's not good. I get it. I had to do what I had to do with $3,400. I got some money to spare, so maybe I'll dick around and get Jacob Slavin out of there. But that's what I got.
Sick. All right, so I was going to make like my adjustments. You talked me into it. Edmonton's going to put some points. Pujarvi for $3,900. The best I could get to is, what's that, about $5,200? Is Jesse Pujarvi better or worse significantly than, say, Jeff Carter or Shane Pinto?
Jeff Carter kind of tickles my fancy a little bit.
All right.
But...
Or would you rather take Ilya Mikheyev? And I don't know exactly what his role is on the Canucks or how that works. And I could get a Ricard Raquel or a Sam Bennett or a Jason Zucker. In my mind, that seems like a greater upgrade than, say, like Pujarvi to Carter.
I do like Raquel.
Tyler Toffoli? I could take a line mate. I could do a bit of a flame stack if we think the Flames are going to put some points against Capitals here.
I do think that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
if there's a flame to be had, even Andrew Mangiapane, does he play on a line with Lindholm? Because that'll be a friendly little stack.
I'm going to go with Tyler Toffoli. Toffoli, between him and Lindholm, they might make something happen. And yeah, I don't know. Versus Sam Bennett, I don't like. Ricard Raquel, we'll save for now. We'll see if we make an adjustment. But that's kind of where my brain is at. And I didn't get paid NHL.com to give that advice.
Yeah, put that in your mouth and chew it a little while. All right, so I got Slavin out of there. I've got somebody to play with. Do you think Oliver Ekman-Larsson with the Vancouver Canucks or Mackenzie Weegar with the Flames?
That is... So do you want to fade me? I had the over... in that game as one of my locks. Spoilers, I might be going under in Vancouver. So if you want to fade my picks currently, I would go Ekman-Larsson.
Too late. I already put Weegar in there. As it kind of feels a little more natural having him with Mangiapane. So
okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, sometimes you have to kind of play those little lineups too. So there you go. So we do have a Connor McDavid somewhere out there in the universe. Hopefully it pays off for you. I tried to do, instead of superstar approach, I tried to do a splattering of like $6,000 to $7,000 pieces, right? So have a little bit more diversity rather than do the boom bust lineups.
Yeah, if Connor McDavid gets shut out, I'm screwed.
Yeah, that's the problem with the boom bust. All right, that's it, guys. I already alluded to it. You already know one of my picks potentially. I am on playalberta.com because that's where I live, and I love their crappy website. It just brings me so much joy just chilling, man. Like, again, someone got paid to make this. I'm very critical of what people get paid to do, apparently. I've got 4 picks today in our Bettor Advice, where we take 100 theoretical dollars. We bet it each week. We keep track of how we do. And really, we're offering free gambling advice. You guys can follow us, do well. I know Grant's up a lot more. I have $131. So I have a little bit of a plus to my side. But I've been slowly bleeding cash since, I think, our first show.
I think I'm up to 450. I got to double check the exact amount. I went 1 for 3 last week. Well, technically 1 for 4. I knew there was going to be a whole shitload of shootouts. There was a whole shitload of shootouts. I think there was 5 or 6 that night. I only had one of them though. So I went from 436, I think, to 450, 440 something. So I'm about 450.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I also went 1 for 3. Now, part of that also is I was early on in the season when the Leafs were playing bad hockey. I did quite well, like both in my personal as well as on the show, of just fading the Leafs. The Leafs are now tipped the scales where I think they're going to win more games than they lose. They're still good value, like when they do lose, but the book I don't know. I don't think it's a surefire thing. So I stayed on that crutch a little bit too long. Didn't read the situation. I'm off it. Kick the snide, guys. I'm not emotional hedging on the show anymore.
Well, that's a fucking big step for a guy like Mick. I got 3 picks. Well, technically 4, but you know what the 4th one is. So You go ahead, you lead off.
I also have 4, and you maybe can guess what my 4th one is, but it's not your strategy. It's my strategy. So we're going to go with $30. I like San Jose. I like Ottawa. I like the over in this game. Back-to-back, Ottawa played last night. They might be a little bit tired. San Jose doesn't believe in defense, stopping pucks. And offensively, they're not horrendous. At over 6.5 goals. I'm going to put $30 on that. You get 2-1 odds.
Fuck you, Mick. We have cursed the Ottawa Senators because I also had the over. I should have went first so I could have got credit for the pick. I don't know what this means. I don't like tempting the universe like this. I had over 6.5 for many of the same reasons. Backup goalie, second night of back-to-back. Ottawa likes offense. San Jose likes offense. It's too late now. It's already out there. I also have the over 6.5 for 30.
On the plus side, there is some money going on the under because the line has changed. Currently, right now, it was at 2.0. It's now 1.91 for the over. So the line is actually shifting. So there is some money getting hammered onto that under. So I'm hoping it's public money, not like sharp money, because the public is really stupid. And usually if you fade them, you actually do pretty well.
Well, we'll see here. Whatever it is, we're riding the same pick for the first one. There's going to be like 5 goals in the first period and then no scoring for the rest of the game. Yeah. There's going to be something stupid.
Yeah, all right. Secondly, Arizona, Vancouver. I alluded to it. I should have let off with that one because then we all would have been on the same page. I'm going to go under 6.5 goals. I was feeling like there was going to be some offense in this game, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, they both suck so badly. This might be like a 0-0 overtime game. And I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. They're terrible. Terrible, terrible franchises. Under 6.5 goals, I'm going to put $30 on that.
I'm going in a different direction with my second pick. Toronto at Tampa Bay. Toronto, as mentioned throughout this podcast, playing really good hockey right now. Things are going well for them. Mitch Marner's playing well. Goaltending seems to be working. I kind of like them to win, but at the same time, Tampa's a good team. They have home ice advantage is worth a lot. It kind of felt like an overtime game to me, so I figured, why not roll the dice? $30 at plus 310 to win 93.
I'm going to see your shot, get the rebound, go the other way. I am putting just $10. So I'm going to do $30, 10, which leaves me at 30 for my final bet. But I'm going to go Tampa Bay to a little bit of emotional hedge. I realize they are the favorites. It's not a great return. It's only like $7 on my 10. But I'm going to take Tampa Bay to straight up win this affair. $10.
All right.
We could both be right.
We could both be right. And maybe that's true for our last picks too, because I have Los Angeles. I don't think so, because I think you're on the Hurricanes. Los Angeles plus 106 underdogs to the Carolina Hurricanes. This one I kind of earmarked for overtime as well, but I was like, plus money on the home side. Kings home ice advantage means so much to them.
Okay. So
plus 106 wasn't worth passing up in my opinion. $30 to win 31.80. If you parlay all three of those together, $10 left would return 151.24.
Sick. Funny enough, I'm on that game. Took a little bit of a take, though. I like the over 5.5 goals in this game. It's kind of in line with my FanDuel lineup. I think some points are going to be scored. 5.5 goals, it's really not that hard to get that far. They just saw a goalie get kicked out of town because they were a part of that like 9-8 overtime game this week, right?
Yeah, they sure were.
So I don't know why now all of a sudden it's only like 6.5. I might be a little bit more hesitant. Hurricanes, they've got some offense, guys. They can play. They may not get scored on. Maybe that's the problem, right? But Kings, home ice advantage. They might put some pucks in nets. Let's go over. $30.
9-8. My God.
Yeah. Yeah. Occasionally when I scroll through my I'm bored in the evening or something, and you're like shutting things down, and you roll through, and I'm like, what happened?
I caught that one the next morning, I think, and I was like, yeah, blown away. Absolutely blown away. I was on the East Coast this week, and so I didn't have the appetite for the late night West Coast games.
Yeah.
9-8. My God. What kind of monster? I don't even know how that happens. How do you get to 9-8?
Last year, maybe a year ago, there was a Leafs Red Wings game that was just like wall-to-wall offense, and it was something like a 9-7 or something, or maybe it was even like double digits for one of them, 12-11, something like that. But that was it. That was like a once in a blue moon. Guys were just feeling it. Goalies were like, they had no idea what was going on. everything fell apart. So I guess that's what happened.
Like, yeah, talking about the yips being contagious. I don't know how you let in 9 goals, but
so, sometimes you just have to let Saucy cook. I can't. I don't know any Seattle Kraken. I couldn't tell you a single Seattle Kraken. So Jared Pecan, but that's Seattle Cap friendly. Let's see.
Jordan Eberle.
Sometimes you need to let Jordan Eberle cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go. So I think that wraps up our show. We were talking so much at the beginning. I was thinking we were going for like 3 hours today.
Well, we had a lot to discuss with the Twitter universe going.
Yeah.
Well, being in the state that it is. But Canada Puck Podcast would not be the Canada Puck Podcast without our babe of the week. Hockey Team Chicks. We're rolling with that again. Oh, man, I lost it. I just had it open. We are going to, the Ohio State Buckeyes have an absolutely delightful skater. Her name is Brooke Bink. BROOKEBINK. Number 8 in the Ohio State playbook, but number 1 in our hearts. She is all sorts of all right, and Brooke Bink is our babe of the week. Schwing.
Yeah, look at that. That's a cute little jersey there. It's midriffs, hanging by the beach. Can't complain.
No, you cannot.
Although she is wearing some kind of like old, like not really flattering butt pants.
If this was Twitter, it would be appropriate to get in the comments and tell her that. But it's Instagram, so you just got to like it and shut up.
That's it. Yeah, like she has that kind of that. So I watched Wayne's World last night. Independent of what we're wearing. Well, I guess I just put this on randomly and I was like, oh yeah, Wayne's World. Grant's also wearing his Wayne's World shirt. The pants that what's his name, Rob Lowe wears in that are some of the dumbest pants I've ever seen. They're like poofy and high-waisted, and they're just not really like flattering. And nowadays, lots of people like leggings, jeans, everything seems to fit really well and is very flat. Like you could go to the mall and you could tell what like 90% of what people's butts look like. And that's never existed in like human history. And I like to think that the song Apple Bottom Jeans by Flo Rida marks a turning point in the golden age of butts, fashion and butts. Not directly thanks to Flo Rida, but it definitely helped propel the medium. So I would like to publicly thank the rapper Flo Rida, maybe even T-Pain. I think he was a part of a collaboration there for the golden age of butts that we live in.
We are in a good age of butts. There's no doubt about it.
No.
I was actually going to make my first reel, and you know what? You've inspired me because I will make my first reel. Because I was at the mall doing exactly what you're describing yesterday. I was like, God damn. I'm not even going to tip my hat. I'm just going to put it out there, and if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. But you've inspired me.
There you go. So, the boots with the fur. Yeah.
Well, as always, under an hour. Good for us. We had lots to talk about.
Great success. I'm feeling so good about life. I might go to Tim Hortons after this and buy like 50 packs of hockey cards. I don't even do something crazy. So that's going to be the rest of my afternoon is Tim Hortons hockey cards and get ready for the Leafs game tonight.
Touching yourself before the Leafs start to play. Maybe touching yourself during the Leafs play. I don't know. I don't know if you'll have enough time.
I don't know.
But it does sound like a nice Saturday afternoon.
Sounds all right. Afternoon affair. Well, no early game. Ducks Wild. That sounds awful.
Is it Ducks Wild? I thought, were the Preds playing early today too? No, it is just Ducks Wild. You're correct.
Got a little bit. I believe there's maybe a soccer game on, so maybe you could watch that at noon.
Championship weekend for college football, if you're into that sort of thing. Might be a couple games worth tuning into.
Sweet. So you got lots of stuff going on. Hopefully you guys are ready. Fun night at hockey, and we'll keep it rolling for a bit. Go from there. Cool. All right, guys. Well, as always, party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.